I need Daddy Bob Ross to come in and save me right now. Yeah, boys, we might be cooked here. Hey guys, how's it going? So there's this guy on Instagram who's been making monthly wallpapers for his phone, and I think that's a pretty cool idea. So we're gonna start doing that. Now these aren't necessarily themed on the month, just have something different each month, freshen it up a little bit. I think it'd be good for practice and just to have a little bit of fun, you know? So here's the sketch, here's what we're looking at. These red lines would be my phone. I'm still gonna go past it, but I'm just gonna try and keep all the important shit on the inside here. Yeah, and then this one we're gonna be doing more standard procedure for me. I'm just gonna be working back to front. Should be pretty easy. Nothing too crazy. And since it is gonna be on my phone, I'm gonna try and keep some of the smaller details away so it doesn't look too busy. You know, it's gonna be simple, easy to look at because I'm gonna be looking at it for 30 days. It is a little late, it's like 10 days in May, but we'll get the June one done a little earlier. And normally I don't blur things. I gonna try it out with the sky though, because I think sometimes it works out better. And I do want this to be pretty vibrant, so I'm gonna try and keep the luminosity and saturation up, try and bump it up a little bit, more than I normally would anyway. And really it's pretty much the same process no matter how you go about it. I was just working from big shapes here, just working it down to smaller and smaller details until you get where you're moderately happy with it, and then you move on. Similar process for most of this, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do a lot of this quite yet. That's where we just mess around with different things. You'll see me erase a lot of stuff. Just trial and error, eventually something will kind of work out and just stick with that. And I've also got to keep in mind that since this is really far away, you won't be seeing much detail, like at all. You'll be seeing a little bit here and there of just different types of like trees and like a little bit of lighting, but nothing crazy. Because even when we zoom out here, I mean, we're pretty much at the point where we're good. So don't need to go crazy, just keeping it pretty simple. Yeah, boys, we might be cooked here. Let me just say that. She's looking rough. Let's hope some highlights carry this, because we need a carry. We got to keep in mind, this is a drawing I got to look at for 30 days, and I can barely stand looking at drawings after I finish them for like 30 seconds. So we're going to try and put a little extra stuff on top, make sure it holds the test of time a little bit better. You know, I think I wouldn't call it looking good. I'd call it looking, I'll just say it does the job. How about that? I'm going to see if adding some shadows on the mountain helps a little bit. Otherwise, we might just be cooked here. I'll be honest. I need Daddy Bob Ross to come in and save me right now. And right here, this blue, I'm not sure if it's adding or subtracting from the drawing, but my intention is that it's like the reflected light from the sky, because if we look to the left a little bit here, sky do be blue. So the reflected light would be blue, and it would make sense. Whether it looks good or not, that's not up to me. I'll try to make it make sense a little bit and see if that might help. With these we can get a little bit smaller detail going in. You know, just a little bit extra. It can be a similar thing, just having a smaller brush basically. And in between these two, there's a shit ton of mist. So we're just gonna do one of these maneuvers. And it's like all of our problems go away. It's crazy. And right now, just trying to cook here, basically. There's not really any specific details you'll notice, but I'm hoping, or kind of the goal is going to be to have enough random shit going on to where it looks like a whole thing. I've seen it pulled off, not saying I can pull it off, but it's at least not impossible. It's like just spamming shapes until something cool happens, basically. So I'll try and find some examples and throw them up here of kind of what I'm talking about. But I always think it ends up with a cooler result than just zooming in here. Like, let's say I want to draw every leaf, and I'm going like this shit. Like that is boring. I don't want to do it. And honestly, looks the same or possibly worse than just doing like the random stuff. I feel like it just looks more interesting, more fun. It's quicker. You can do more of it because it is quicker, and it's more fun, so you want to do it more. I'm not seeing a single loss here. It kind of requires, like, I found that it kind of requires a different way of thinking about how the shadows work. But yeah, I'll change my mindset if it means I can make some cooler stuff. I don't really care about that. Now, I have no idea how to apply that to cities. because my ape brain cannot figure out how cities work for the life of me. That's going to be the next few arcs, you'll notice. I don't know when, but it'll happen eventually, where we're doing a lot of water stuff, like hell, half this drawing's water. We'll be doing a lot of cities pretty soon. So that is going to be future me's issue. Right now, I am simply drawing my trees. And you'll see me zooming out a lot. It probably looks really small on your screen, but I've got decent sized monitor in front of me, so I'm just kind of zooming out. Right here is about how big my phone would be. So I'm seeing what the detail would look like at a reasonable distance. Because this is, from my perspective, this is going to be how big it is looked at almost universally. Because most people are looking at it, let's call it Twitter. Most people are looking at it on Twitter on their phone, or the thumbnails they see. It's going to be around a phone size at the biggest. You know, very few people are looking at like an iPad or a monitor or actually zooming in. So really, if you can't see any details after this, like at this size, I'm not putting them in. Because frankly, if anything, it's going to make the drawing look worse and just busy. So that's kind of something that I'm just keeping in the back of my mind and checking out. Since I'm not super confident with my like grass and stuff and like trees and all that, I do check it more. But if it's something that I'm more comfortable with, like when you saw me do the sky, it took 5 seconds because I've done a sky like a million times, so it's just blue, you know, nothing crazy is happening. Here it's getting more detail, trying to keep it, you know, just make sure it makes sense, make sure it looks good, and then it's gonna be slowly adding in some. It's like right there, smaller brushes, getting closer to the camera. Camera is still pretty far away though. None of this would be too detailed, including the character. We're not going to go crazy on the character either. But there is going to be some rocks under the water and stuff here. I'm also trying to keep the colors of the character in mind here. I'm thinking that the hair would be white and the wings here would be white. I'm not sure for the clothing, but it's going to be a pretty light color overall. So around the character, I'm going to keep it kind of darker. So that way there's some contrast. Because I'm not sure if I want to make the character the focus, like the focal point of the drawing or not, or if I want to make that just this section in general. But either way, still needs to be able to tell what's going on. So I'm going to try and keep a lot of this blue here, so it's not floating around the edge of the bridge, which is right here. So try and keep it either crossing it or away from it. None of this close to it nonsense. That stuff looks bad. So if I catch myself doing that every now and then, go, again, cross it fully, or go away from it. Don't go near it. Don't hover near it, you know. And I'm going to try and keep it facing in the direction of the water, because the water is blue, because the sky is blue. So I'm going to do this, try and have a little bit of brown around the edge, to try and show some dirt. Because especially if this is like more of a forest. I mean, I don't got to explain the dirt's in the fucking out lake, right? Yeah, there's dirt next to a lake, so we're gonna add it, you know what I mean? So this is a pretty good example of what I was talking about earlier with having stuff not go near the edge. You neither have it further away or cross the edge. So right here, right, I could do this, but if we look, this is the phone screen, right? That would look kind of, it wouldn't ruin it, it would just look kind of weird. And if you have a lot of weird stuff going together, you have a shit drawing. So now what I'm going to do, you could either do this further away or just cross it. And that's what I'm going to do. See? And really, it's realistically only going to be something that you will notice. But just because you're the only one that notices doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I still think that if you notice it, you should try and fix it. Because end of the day, it's your drawing. So it's up to you how you want to make it. If you want to make a drawing that looks weird and isn't the best you could do, that's up to you, I guess. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. So general game plan, I'm thinking doing something like this here. Not the same thing, obviously. Not the same colors, but kind of see what I'm going for here. So basically, here's kind of the general lighting here. But I think I like the scenario. I think it's gonna be a pretty cool situation when it's all said and done. Oh, I forgot the character. Okay. I'm gonna do that real quick. Let's see here. The real question is, does this look good? And I don't know, so I'm just gonna continue doing my thing and see what happens. Because I kind of believe this is still in a let him cook phase, not in a finished product phase right now, so. Especially when I'm getting experimental like this, I like to do a different layer. I try and keep them as low as possible, like the amount of layers, but sometimes it's not, you know, they're there for a reason, so you might as well use them, but I just don't want to go crazy. Because my laptop's already screaming right now, and it's just existing, so. There we go. Coming together a little bit here. I do think that we need to add some rocks, though. I think that works. Merge down. And one thing I noticed, character blending into the background. Here's what we're going to do to fix that. We're going to add a little rim light here. I'm going to go with this. Again, keeping it pretty simple. I didn't want anything too crazy. This might be as good as we get right now, but that is fine. If I were to give it a rating, I would say 6 out of 10. Not horrible. I think it looks kind of like a reflection, but you got to zoom out quite a ways. I think the whole reason I chose this reference and this lighting scenario was because I knew it'd be difficult, especially with the bridge. I think that it's kind of iffy overall, but it's definitely not the worst thing I made, and I think it looks like what it's supposed to, which I'll take that as a win. But I think that's all for this week. See you guys next week. Peace.